G'day mates, and welcome back to DIY Life. Today we're doing a complete startup of the Steve Irwin's engine room, from DARKSHIP all the way to ready to go to sea. This is going to be really helpful for any viewers or engineers who are thinking about volunteering on board the Steve Irwin, and anyone else interested. I've got Roscoe here with me today. We're going to go through the entire procedure. We find a few little different things. This is the first iteration, but there will be changes. So let's get into it. Alright, first step, confirm with bridge officer, master or owner, okay to start up and clutch in main engines, get propeller clearance. Have the engine room fire alarm disabled. That's not running at the moment, so that's okay. Kerry knows we're going to start up. I'll inform the guys doing those rooms that we're going to be cutting power. So let's head up to the fire dampeners and stack level and remove all the covers. So yeah,
let's do it.
So just from the aft deck, heading up one deck, and we can see a black door there. That's the CO2 room with the CO2 bottles. They release into the engine room or generator room when there's a fire. And directly in front of us there's a wooden door. To the left of that is the intake for the generator room, and to the right you can see that intake for accommodation. Also, that rectangular box with the 3 pipes heading to it is the crankcase ventilation for all 3 generators. So first off is the fire dampeners, which are allowing the flow of air out of the funnel.
Yeah. They're
closed generally when we import for rain, so just pull the pin out and then push over. So that one's open, there's one on the other side. I might get you to do that one. So the black rectangular pad here with the 2 rails, that's where the harbour generator is usually mounted. Because the ship was being scrapped, it was sold off, but that's usually where it is, and that can supply the whole ship power when there isn't suitable shore power.
What was this room?
That's the battery room for the GMDSS backup batteries and emergency lighting for the bridge. Perfect. So next one is remove all exhaust stack rain covers on the engines needed.
Yep.
So I've simulated it. So we need.
Are they open or shut?
We'll have to have a look because we're leaving port today. So follow the checklist. I'll go up there, but I'll pretend I'm not there. There you go. Alright, so they're the fire dampeners that we just opened.
Yes,
These,
yes.
Yep. And we're running just 1 generator today, so I'll just take 1, 2 and 3 generator. So number...
Is that one over there, is it?
Sorry?
That's one over there, is it?
Number 1, port side, centre, starboard, number 3.
Which is the one that's running? Number 1, isn't it?
Number 1, which is on the port side.
Right.
So it's respective to where they sit in the generator room.
Yeah.
And then
Cool.
Both main engines running. Port side. Starboard side. That's all done. This footage is from another day, but it's just showing where the air intake for the engine room is for the vent fans that supply air into the engine room. There are fire dampeners there to use in a fire. They're not usually closed because rain doesn't really get in, so just something to check. The next step is main air compressor, but if the bottles have got enough air in them, you don't have to start them up now.
Yeah.
Because we're going to black out the ship, then reinstate the power.
Yes.
Pretty sure the compressors reinstate themselves without us having to do so. Right. So that'll be something that we could
we'll work it out,
find out today. Yeah, I'll put a note in there. We can start off bottles, then start
air comp, after power on. I might put that in as a caveat. So we could go down this way to the, oh no, we're going to the main start air boils.
You're going to where? Air compressors.
Yeah. Yeah, and I might just add in CPP, check.
Check.
Jacket water.
Jacket waters are good.
Main engine, jacket, check. While we're here, you know.
Yes.
And the valves are open, you can see.
Open, yes.
They should always be open anyway, it's just because it was laid up for 5 years, so. Alright.
Yeah, fuel level is good. Have you checked those instanza valves?
No, I haven't.
I know I checked them when we were in Brisbane. I just got to throw a couple of bolts that I picked up off them.
Okay, yeah,
There,
no worries.
in here.
So, what's
They're good.
it say on the?
400.
Yeah, that's good.
They're
What's
good.
it say on there? If starting, main air comp, check oil level.
Yep.
So this one here,
Stick on them.
that's right.
2 dipsticks.
I'll get some rags.
I can see the level there. It's good.
Yep. Whoa. And while we're there, we can check. That's got level. Check. This
Yeah,
is the
mine's good.
saltwater cooling valve is open, which comes from the gearbox cooler saltwater flow. For info's sake.
Yes. Slightly under maximum, but
Yeah, mine's half as well.
I won't screw it in, it'll be on maximum.
Yeah, and it'll heat up and expand a bit. Yeah, that's right. So that's your valve in, and this is the valve out for saltwater cooling, or raw water as they say. I say saltwater.
I see what you've done.
Yeah.
Close it and open it
Yeah,
just a bit easy.
just a little bit. And that's going to go overboard. In normal operation, we don't have to check the overboard, but I'll just show you where it is today. So it's
That's
this thin green one there,
there.
which heads over to here. Yeah. So this is the valve. I'll just check it so you know. Close, open. Yep, that's the one.
What's that for?
Yeah. Yeah, in regular operation, we're never going to be shutting those. So don't have to check them, but today, might as well do the full startup. Saltwater cooling valve, jacket water header tank.
Checked.
You've checked it, and I'll just show it for the video. Those valves supplying them are open. They shouldn't be closed unless you're working on it. So they've got jacket water. Alright, so open the air inlet and outlet valves from one main air compressor. So intake, valve spanner. Might have to get some earmuffs when we start this stuff up. So that's letting air come into the receiver, and this one's giving out to the system. And that's the main air valve.
That's the main valve. Don't open it for
Yeah.
start the.
That's right, yeah. But now at least that one we need open, obviously, to run the main air compressor.
Now, what was that?
This is from the main air compressor to the receiver.
Yeah.
So obviously we need that open before we ever start
Also
it.
goes to the control system up here.
Yeah, we don't use that. That's why we've got the work air compressor. So select which compressor we want lead and follow. So number 2 lead, number 1 follow, number 1 lead, number 1 lead, number 2 follow in hand. I want to run number 2. So number 2, we've checked the oil level, all the valves are open.
So as you may hear, there's a little problem. We can hear air hissing out, and that's out of the safety valve there, which is to protect the compressor. Up further in between the compressor and the receiver, there's a small valve above head that Roscoe's just finally found that was closed. So we're just going to make sure that's open.
Drain condensate. I'm just going to use that one bottle today. Just use one bottle today.
Yeah.
It's fine to drain both, I'm just saying we'll just use one today. Drain condensate. Open start air main outlet valve.
You want to pump up the oil first?
That's
Open the
alright.
seawater valve.
We'll do that after. We'll use high suction. So, high C suction is that small valve there
That
onto
valve.
the right, alternators. So let's check that. Yeah, that's shut, so, sorry camera, doing the wrong lens. So, suction valve is open. Let's check the discharge valve. Saltwater discharge. Way over there on the bulkhead, black one. It visually looks open, but we'll just check for the video and the checklist. There you go. Ripper.
One thing I think I forgot to mention in this video is that black hose there heading up there, there's a valve above there to open and close the supply of the fuel oil to the generator. So that's a big one to check. Usually at sea they're left open. It's just this ship spends a lot of time at dock, so we will be isolating those.
Oil level, jacket water and all that jazz. Other side for main lube oil. We'll do that after. Oil levels, generator, governor. I've got to add that in there actually.
Yep. Governor oil.
Yeah. Lube oil level. Looks good.
That's a good way of checking diesel contamination.
Ah, yeah. This is an actual. That's raw water or salt water overboard. That's open. That's good. What's next to check? The header tanks and stuff. Let's have a look at the list. Jacket water heater. Yeah, I've got that on. It's not working though.
I had generator 3 switch on, but it was working.
Roscoe. All right. What are we up to? Check all levels. Oil, jacket water. Check fuel, oil, jacket water valves. Fuel oil valves there. Yeah. Jacket water. Let's walk up those stairs.
So we're just heading up to have a look at the generator jacket water header tank. Also the controls for the generator room vent fans, the accommodation vent fans, and also the propeller tunnel extraction fan that takes oil mist off the gearbox out of the ship.
Combined jacket water header tank for all three. All three, so number one. What's that valve look like? It's open. And that's returning and that's supply. So I check this one in the corner. Like I say, most of these valves we're checking should be left this way in regular operation, but we're just checking them today. Does it say start up vent fans now for generator? I can't remember.
Oh, we're up here.
No, we're here now. Oh yes. Turn on both generator fans to forward supply. So on. And then the tunnel fan, which is the one that draws the oil mist out of the propeller tunnel from the gearbox oil mist. That's written there. And prop tunnel fan, which is this one here. Aft escape trunking vent fan. On.
As you can see, we're taking a bit of time with this procedure, but I think once the engineer gets comfortable and once we've streamlined this startup procedure, it's going to be more time efficient.
So I usually go prime and then slowly open that once I've got a value on the lube oil, and then I hit the start button while I'm still pumping, so it's, you know, it's got oil pressure while it's starting. Starting to build now. And the starting sound, you've probably already done these before. It's like, and then let go. You've got to open that puppy. So that's why I open it while I'm pumping.
Right?
Yep.
one of the important things you've got to be aware of as an engineer is even when you're starting up machinery, but most of the time is you're looking for faults. Roscoe's found a fuel oil leak on here on the attachment where it comes into the injector pump. Sometimes the banjo bolts come loose there, but there's also a canister filter there. I'm going to check that banjo bolt because I've got a story about that on generator 3, but it looks like it is the canister leaking on this one. The story I have is in Antarctica. I was doing my routine walkarounds and one of the other engineers was working on the fuel oil purifier, and I walked in the generator room and saw some vaporizing diesel that was being sprayed on the exhaust of the running generator 3. It was vaporizing the fuel. So I had learned about flame point, ignition point and fire point at university, so I knew how serious it was. I quickly grabbed my Barco shifter and tightened up the banjo bolt, although there was heaps of fuel still on the exhaust which was going to catch fire. So I yelled to the other engineer to start up the other generator. We couldn't just shut it down because we were navigating through icebergs and stuff, so we couldn't cut the power. So we retreated with a foam extinguisher, waited for the other generator to start up, and we swapped power and got it all sorted.
I'll just let Kerry know we're cutting power.
Hi, Steve.
Hello. Yeah, we're just cutting power within 5 minutes. Okay.
Alright, sorry to be a pain, but can you make sense? We're just using this
Yeah.
like grass.
Yeah, no problems.
It might be fine. I'll come down and let you know.
It's okay. We can warm up for 10 minutes. I'll set a timer for 10 minutes.
Fantastic.
And if you want longer, just come down to Jenny room. Okay.
I will. Thank you.
No worries.
Bye.
Cut power in 10 minutes. Set a timer. Exhaust temperature A bank, B bank. Degrees Celsius.
Here is the switchboard synchronization panel for the generators. You can change the speed of the prime mover, which affects the frequency of the electricity, which is what I'm doing right now. You want it just above 50 Hertz before you put the generator onto load. It'll take a little bit of load and come down to 50 Hertz. I'm also re-familiarizing myself with the instructions on which switches to have on when you're in DARKSHIP and which switches to have on when you want to synchronize two generators together. So obviously we're doing DARKSHIP here, blackship, so just have a look at those instructions. So reading them is easy for myself. It might be a bit harder with the view that I'm using and lens I'm using for this video, but I think I'll do zoom up in a moment. There's just certain selector switches you have to have selected to the circuit breaker that you want to close, which is giving the circuit breaker closing switch power. So switch it to the incoming alternator, which one you want, and that'll allow you to power up the circuit breaker to close the circuit, which will give the generator connection to the switchboard.
Now that's charged. charged, ready for us to put it in.
So step 1, ensure sync aid and sync lamps selector switches are in the off position, which is that one there, off position, and that one, the lamps one, in the off position, because we're not syncing gens. Step 2, turn the volt and frequency meter selector switch to incoming alternator when it's running. So that's incoming alternator is number 1. Step 3 is what we did before, turn the circuit breaker closing supply to incoming alternator, which is incoming alternator circuit breaker number 1, because it's the number 1 alternator that we want to close the circuit breaker on once we open the shore power connection. That's the generator speed. Here, just putting my hand on the inlet and outlet of the cooler, jacket water pipes, and then also on the pump, the salt water supply and outlet, just to check there's a temperature differential. Also, good cold seawater coming through. So here we go, the agreed upon time of 10 minutes before I cut the power is coming to an end. Generator is warmed up, we're ready to cut the power, so here we go. That's gone well. I'm going to go ahead and silence the alarm and then get started starting all the machinery up.
All good.
Yeah, let's just follow the list. There's a few little tricks. You know that valve. The valve that supplies the harbour generator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just got to make sure that's shut. I'll show you where it is. You're already onto it. That's the one. I'll just get the camera. So we checked that shut.
Yeah.
And that one's open because that's going into it. Yeah, I'm just doing it for the video. Next list. What's the next bit? Header tank. Check valve to harbour gen is closed. After viewing the level in the service tank, level in the service tank there, open, let's add in here, check supply to header valve, which we did over there.
Yeah.
Check main engine and gen outlet valves are open. They should always be, but this is a complete startup, so that's open. So that's to alternators, this is to main engine. You can see it on the tags there. Now we go downstairs to the service tank. We're going to get the level of the service tank. I've got to find the service tank outlet. Yeah, I'll move this. The one on the right hand side. Yep. Yep. Duplex filter. Cool. Alright. One. Either one. That's only a remote switch. That's only for remotely turning it on and off. So don't worry about that. That's for filling harbour gen. Yep. Check that later. That's from the fuel oil purifier through the service tank, I believe. From memory, not confirmed. What do we got next? Check steering heater tank on bridge, then switch on steering locally, switch off steering heater. I checked the header tank earlier, so we don't have to do that, but you know, you would have done that in your rounds.
This was when I went up to test the steering, I checked the header tank. But yeah, this is how you do it and where it is. Now we're heading to the steering flat compartment.
Well, it's dark and scary.
Oh, your laugh, man, that's so wild.
Hey?
Your laugh is the scariest thing about this place. Alright, I don't know if there's a heater. So that oil heat is only for when we were operating in Antarctica.
This one?
Oil heater. See? This one?
Yeah.
That's just a Wolverine, it's a block heater.
Yeah.
So that's not really necessary for us to turn off, but I've got it on the list there.
We know it's there.
Cool, all right, ready to go. All right, starting up steering pump. All right.
Select.
All right. Number 1 duty, number 1 standby. Cool.
Yep.
Engine room vent fans.
Are they wrong?
No, not yet. Main engine room vent fans. These two. On.
On.
Oh, I've got to close that panel.
Done.
Alright, so the next one is check the main engine controls are at 0 for engine RPM, and make sure the CPP is 0 pitch on the detent, but this is out a little bit, so I'm going to leave it as it was 0 pitch yesterday. So we'll leave it there, but as per the paperwork, when it's fully adjusted correctly, we would go to the detent. So we're just checking that off the checklist. The power on button is the right hand one.
Check oil.
And check oil. Yep, good one.
Yes. A bit low. No,
It's
high.
clear on high, yeah. It's a bit clear. There we go. And then power on button to the right hand side. It's already depressed. It's already pushed in. Yep, it's ready to run. Then work air is there when they're doing deck work and working with the working air,
Yeah.
but we leave that off. Control air is this red one.
Yeah.
Open that one. And I probably should write drain condensate as well. Up the other end. Yeah, drain condensate, it says it there already. Which is down at the other end. Cool. Supply air to control air system, I'll show you that. That's this valve here. Now that's going into the receiver. Check pressure. That's the outlet valve that's always open. And condensate, drain. Ugh. That's good. What do we got next? Auxiliary seawater pump. So check the valves that supply the seawater pump first, which is over here, I'll show you. High C suction. Obviously all the low C is all there, but we'll use high C. So this one says auxiliary high C. So that was closed.
That's the one I repacked.
Yep. Good job. that's open. Now this one. And like it would be great to check all the overboard valves are open, but they're all open except that bilge overboard, which is the bilge pump. I checked those last time I was there.
Yeah,
obviously, we would check them before we would start that up, but they're generally always open. Just good for the checklist. So that's open, and it's going to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Here's the starter panel. Local or remote, we select local, on. You feel it running?
Yeah.
Check the sight glass and adjust the flow. So that's the sight glass there. Adjust the flow. Shut it off. Less flow, but we'll get a bit of flow going. The video. So this is the main air compressor supply valve, salt water. So that's always open usually. CPP, and there's a valve on the cooler of the CPP. What's the next step? Just stay there. What's the next step?
Adjust water flow float. CCP should be open. Gearbox. Switch off heater.
Alright, heater is there. Red. Yep.
Switch off heater.
And circulation pump. Circulation pump off. Alright. No, pressure relief is this down here. Roscoe.
Yes, spanner.
What we're doing here is the gearbox oil pressure usually has to be loosened and relieved of pressure before we start up the pumps. It has a cold mark on it. I don't believe we're going to continue doing this, because if you have the other one on standby and it's not set to pressure, it's not going to be good when it actually needs to be used for standby. So we potentially will change this, but this is the procedure so far.
Alright. Yep.
Switch off pump.
Yep. So selecting number 1 as primary, number 2 as standby, and then turning on number 1. It's got a timer. It'll start up soon. About 25.
Let's go.
Alright, lock it up. Right. I got it. So number 2 is in standby now, so I have to select number 2 as primary. And then do the same thing.
Hey.
Pressure up.
So you could see how troublesome this would be if you actually had to use it as a standby pump, but the pressure was not set. That's why I believe I will be changing the procedure to reflect this.
It's a bit lower, 25. I don't know why they got that mark there. Now, I'll put this spanner back. Yeah. Now, I'll get the alarm. They're all open, it's okay. Back to pump number 1. And it's up to pressure, okay? It's up to pressure.
Too high?
It's okay. Now we know if this shuts down, that can be up to pressure straight away. I'll just get the alarm. Yeah.
Next step.
Yeah, that's right.
Check lube, CCP lube oil level.
Alright.
So as you saw, when I switched the selector back to pump 1 for the gearbox, it started up no problems. There were no bangs or crashes, so I think it's fine to change the procedure.
Lube oil level is that one there. It's very oily because it's thin oil.
There you go. Hang on. There we go. 2. Only got one hand. There it is. There's
Yep.
the level there.
Yeah, that's good level. Okay, whenever these breakers are on and closed, they're powered up, I can run that drain pump whenever I want, unless it's already at the low level setting. So that low level switch has said you're not going to be able to run. This, and I'm talking about the drain pump, which there's a drain tank underneath the OD box, which I'll show you, okay?
Yeah.
That's the backup pump control panel. This is the primary pump control panel. You can select either pump to be primary, and then that can run the backup pump.
That's these two?
No, this is just the drain pump.
The drain pump, primaries and secondary.
Yep, for the drain tank that's up down there, which I'll show you. So the selector for this drain pumps, there's auto or on. I would say the on is manual control. They've also got C and port, but at C you're going to have it in auto as well. So I'll just show you. It mightn't run now, but I'll put in manual. The correct drain pump is selected. The aft pump, which is number 1. I've checked those valves. I'll show you those valves.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to check this every time. It's just new engineers, but I'm doing this for the startup sequence. And then now it's in manual. That should run. It's running now because there's enough oil in the drain pump. No, these are the CPP pumps. They're not the pumps that are running.
I just felt something, oil moving through that pipe.
It's the oil moving through this pipe over here. This one. Feel this? That's the oil. That's the vibration you can feel. Alright. So now we know the drain pumps run. I'll put it into auto. I just want to show you and everyone else on the video where the drain tank is, the level of it, to check it, and also the drain pumps and their suction valves, okay?
Right.
Alright, you want to kneel down on the green thing? that is the drain tank. That's the vent. That's the dipstick. There's the high, level, low switch and everything. We generally don't have to check the level of this because it's a drain tank, but it does have an overflow.
There's a level there.
Yeah, drain
And
tank.
there's a bit of on it. Why is that there?
I don't know actually. Probably came from the rust at the top there.
Yes.
So there is an alarm, drain tank overflow alarm, which I'm sure you've seen before. It's because we didn't have the correct drain pump running. All right, yep. So the pump we've selected is number 1, which is the aft pump. So that's the forward pump, number 2, aft pump, number 1.
Yep.
And we're just going to check the suction valve for number 1 is open, which is that red handled valve, which is open.
Suction valve for
And that
number
one's
2.
shut. So if you ever were going to change to the other pump, you just swap them around, all right?
Yep, yep.
Too easy.
And the reason you haven't got that other valve open is it drains back through this.
That's right. It makes a bit of a weird noise as well. I don't like it.
Probably wants a non-return valve in here.
Yeah, that's right. I'd like that. So also here we've got the pitch indicator and like the degrees of pitch. So we're on, the pointer's on 0 last time I ran it. So
Is that 0 in there?
Yep.
Yes, that's good.
So I'll check this before we clutch in.
Does this screw down?
No, don't. So that can be screwed down to lock it down to one certain pitch if you lose control with control air from the bridge or the engine room. So I've got that lock off and it's fully controlled with the control air, which is already on
Yes.
from our pitch.
This one is
Manual remote control. I haven't gone into the functioning aspects of that control, so we'll do that for another day. All right.
This is the pitch indicator.
Yep, that's right.
The tensiometer.
Yep. All right.
We've got pressure up here. The air pressure.
That's right. Control air. Now we'll go to the CPP and turn the pumps on. The main CPP pumps. All right. So we've checked the lube oil level. Yep. Drain pumps. I've checked.
Run CCP selector switch.
Right. So selector switch. Number 1 run. Number 2 standby.
Okay.
So to run the CPP pump, there's not a start button. There is a start button, but they run automatically when the e-stop is out. So there's just no choice. So we'll unclick it, it'll start up. It's in auto, that's why it starts up with the e-stop out. If that was in hand, I could probably stop it. But we always run in auto, okay? So once this is up to pressure, let's have a look at the pressure. Turbo pressure.
Not oil train. That's Norwegian.
Yep. Scanner Volva. So that's up to pressure now, alright?
15 bar.
Yeah. And now we want this to be standby so we can take the e-stop off and that's ready to start up. So let's simulate a power outage of the number 1, which is running, and see what happens. There you go. Pressure's up. Now number 2's running because number 1 failed. So that's good, and we've got an alarm that's started. The standby is now running. That's what that alarm is.
Right.
So I'll put it back. That's number 1 back in form, and then number 2 is ready to go. I'll get that alarm.
So just up on the bridge doing the steering test. The bridge officer would usually do this. I'm just doing this for the video because no one else was on board.
Ten to starboard. 15. 20. It's pretty precise actually. Wow. 30. 30 degree, 35. 40. 40 degrees. Bring it back to midships. That's midships. Seven, 10 to port, 15 port, 20 port, 30 degrees, 35, 40 degrees to port. Back to midships. Wow, it's pretty smooth, wow. Oh, to port. Stand by for ramming. There's midships. Alright, lovely, that works well. So before I showed that the generator intake louvers are here, fire dampeners, and you can remove the wing nut up there, close this and shut it. But we're running the generator now, so there's 2 vent fans sucking air through here, and then respectively on the other side of the ship we're going to have the outlet from that same generator room, and that's a bit more warmer air. There's no sound because it's just air pushing through. Yeah, there we go. And that's another fire dampener wing nut. Swing it down, close it. Alright, let's have a look at the exhaust of the main generator, number 1. Just a heat haze, which is great. Loving it, mate. That's actually low load as well, so quite good.
So just looking at the fuel oil header tank, this is a sight glass to show that it's overflowing back into the service tank, where those booster pumps draw from, and pumps it up into this tank, and that's always full. So we're just having a look at the high sea suction for the main engine intake, sea strainer. Roscoe's doing a little cool trick that I really like. He's opening the vent for the sea strainer before the valve is on to see if it's leaking.
Bucket!
That means that that valve's leaking.
Yeah.
So now both of the valves are on, and now we'll just check each of the engine driven saltwater cooling pumps on each main engine.
Yeah, those two, correct. Yeah, overboards, I'll check. It's fine. These should be always open anyway, it's on the list to be sure. The support main engine overboard open. Starboard main engine overboard. Saltwater overboard open. Cool. Lube oil priming. Oh yeah. Let's just have a quick look at that. ECR control air selector switch, the main engine start. So with this, we're selecting the engine room control for these controls here, and then you got bridge, and then bridge and engine room combined operation. I believe that's what that is, but I've got to check that. But I think that when we select main engine start, I won't have to get the other person. That's because that's the pointer there.
Yeah.
I potentially don't have to get that person to hold the button for the master valve for start air.
Yes.
That's what I think might be the reason why we've got to be doing that. As long as we've got the gearbox pump running and up to pressure, and the lube oil pumps on the main engine running, the interlock shouldn't stop it from starting. You know, we're bypassing it by using that button. So hopefully this will negate having to do that.
Right, gotcha.
Cool. Turbo charger. Yep. And governor. She's full. Alright. Lube oil priming pumps. Red for port, suction, discharge, open, open, port main engine, and that's the pressure for it. The starboard gauge is buggered, but it still reads from that point onwards. Hang on, valves. Just these two, not that one. There's one on each engine. See that yellow one over there? I'll show you in a sec. Let's just start this up. Lube oil priming pump on both main engines are running now. And this is the valve. This just allows the priming pump to do its job, or if you want to do manual priming pump, if there was a handle, we'd move that and then use that pump to suck. Cool. Checking the indicator cocks are open. And fuel valve. They're usually left open, but we're just checking it for this startup procedure. Now that's open. Let's do the same for this engine. Turbo. That's good. Turbo oil level's good. Indicator cock's open. Turbo's good. Lube oil level. Indicator cocks open. I'll just do it for the video, yeah. Governor and turbo. It's hard to see with the camera, but that oil level is good. All right.
Click.
Yeah. Check indicator cocks are open. Fire main engine over 140 times. 140 clicks. I'm going to do the other one. I'll put a bit of grease on and I'll count the amount of turns. I'll just go to the starboard.
Apologies for the exposure, it was stock, so it's a little bit bright. I also was getting a bit fixated with this, putting some tape on the flywheel to see one rotation. I think it was about 80 clicks, but essentially what it is 140 clicks is 2 rotations of the engine. So that's what you actually need to do.
Yeah, so 80 is the magic number. I put a bit of masking tape on, and 80 pushes down 1 rotation. I'm not doing 2 rotations of it. Alright. Yeah. So blow over is here. Yeah. Blow over and fire is all the way over. So just go to here for blow over. Oh, we're going to put the air on. Have a look at the checklist. Training for the checklist, yeah. Alright. Check indicator cocks are open. Bum, main engine. Open main air valve, blow over. Yeah. Yep, that's it. See the start air come up there. Now we'll try it without this button over there on the air start. It should be able to turn. So like this, you go sharp to this. And usually if it doesn't spin, it's because it's not in the right position. I'll go over and do this button and we'll try it again. And we shouldn't have to do this button, which is bypass. Okay, this is the button, which is a override. Now we shut all the indicator cocks. Wow. Some gnarly sounds coming through that turbo. Yep. So sharp over, when it fires, bring it straight across sharply and balance the revs. Don't let it overrun. Overshoot. Oh, I've got to go over there. Yep.
What are you doing here? What are you pressing?
This override button for the main air start.
Where do you
Pressure.
press it? Here.
Press that down. There's
Right.
an interlock somewhere that we need to fix. Did you shut your indicator? Indicator cock shut. Alright, ready?
So this was the first time Roscoe started it up, so he kept it on the air side. So when you pull the lever to the left, it starts it and fires it, but you've got to flick it to the right to balance the revs. So coming up, there is another little error that was made, but it's okay because it's Roscoe's first time and I'm showing him the procedure. It just highlights the fact that having a procedure is really good, and then also the person reading it understanding exactly what step we're up to and what you're meant to do in each step. But it's good that it happened because it is a training video and we can learn from the little mistakes. So another thing when starting these main engines is when you pull the lever to the left, you should only do it at about 45 degrees, because if you go 90 degrees it air starts the engine but it also fires it. So let's see what happens, because the indicator cocks are open. I'm just pointing to the RPM gauge so Roscoe can have a look at that while he balances the governor, and then also pointing to the oil pressure. Okay, so this selector that I was talking about, hopefully it would have helped us with starting the main engines without that master valve override. Did not actually function, so I've got to dig into that, but it's not too big of a deal. Here I'm just getting the pitch to exactly 0 pitch. I will double check this on the OD box, but just going to get that set before we think about clutching in and spinning the propeller. Just like on the port main engine, I'm shutting the starboard main engine lube oil priming pump off and then shutting the 2 valves supply and discharge. That's what we do when we go to sea, at least. So I'll continue that. Now just walking past the generator, doing a systems check, pressures and temperatures. I would like to understand this standby switch for the generator shutdown panel, but it still is functioning. The panel is still functioning for high jacket water temperature, low lube oil pressure and generator overspeed. Just now I'm looking at the hertz of the electricity, just going to bring it up a little bit, up to 50, with those switches for the speed of the prime mover. I'm also noticing that I didn't turn the 2 switches off that I used before to bring the generator online, so I'm just going to switch those 2 off now. So we're ready to go for a clutch in, so I'm going to just clutch in port main engine and then shortly after I'll clutch in starboard main engine. You can see here I put the handle on the way I think it should go, but it's not, it's actually opposite. But you can see there's that silver bolt head that's sticking through on the right hand side. That's meant for that shaft that I'm using, the manual shaft, to sit over and spring load up against it, so that's why I've got to use this bolt on this side. So I'm going to swap that bolt the next time on the ship. You'll see what I mean when I show you the starboard side. This is what I was meaning. So the spring pressure is against the way I'm pulling it now. And see that silver bolt head? It's like half cut of the head of the bolt off, so it holds against that lever. We're all clutched in, so I just want to speak to Kerry on deck and make sure it's all good to up the RPM.
Copy, Kerry.
Looking good, Steve.
Yeah, copy that, looking good.
Here I'm just checking the pitch again before I increase RPM. Just good to double check that. Final checks, looking around the engine room and then coming out onto the dock to make sure the prop wash is not significantly forcing it forward or aft. Then I can increase the revs.
Looking alright. I'm going to bring up the RPM. That's idling, I'll bring it up to 700 like yesterday. Both engines. Huh? 1220. He'll be right. We'll just get this done and then shut down. Yeah, I gave him a couple of smokos already, so. Alright.
See if you can hear the fault that's happening right now. I don't address it straight away, but I do finally do it. And if you know what it is, please leave what you think it is in the comments before I show you on the video. There it was, just the indicator cock just slightly open. Not much of a fault, but it's good to check it.
we're just bringing up. I declutch port main engine so we can warm up starboard main engine. Have a look at the parameters like I did yesterday. So pretty much from this point we would clutch in both or one to leave port. Engineers would test the pitch before we clutched in to make sure it's good. Probably warm up the engines like I'm doing now. Once we've done that, we would bring this back and then ring the bridge, make sure their controls are set to 0 and give them control, and then they will have full control over pitch and main engine RPM. What we do when we leave port is we have one main engine clutched in, the other one idling on standby in case there's a problem with the clutched in engine. We can instantly clutch the standby engine in and still have safe navigation. As I may have stated before, these clutching controls are not working properly, and also the main engine start is not working properly. We've got to hit that bypass button. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix these. It's been a long time since the ship has operated, and actually when I moved the ship from Melbourne Docklands, I think, near the Marvel Stadium, I moved it to Williamstown. Then I remember I had to clutch in manually like we have been doing today, so we're just going to fix some things. But we're just warming up the starboard main engine so I can show Roscoe the parameters and stuff, and the turbo surging a bit because there's too much of an imbalance between A bank and B bank. There's a bank of 6 cylinders on each side. Yeah, the exhaust pressure from one bank feeds the turbo for the other bank, which is feeding the inlet pressure for the other bank. So it's to balance the engine, but maybe the fuel racks and the timing are off on one bank. So we've got a bit of turbo surge. So he's just having a look at that now, but for all intents and purposes, the rest of the startup is pretty much all complete. This is just testing for us now.
Turbo on the starboard side surging.
Yeah.
On the starboard engine's got all the load. There's no load on port engine.
No, I've declutched port engine.
Oh.
I'm loading it all up so you can see the turbo surge.
Yeah.
I can clutch them both back in and warm up.
No,
It'll take ages to warm up, you know.
I'm just seeing the starboard side start to surge.
So you can see the turbo surge. I might just clutch the other one in and we'll just pretend we're leaving for port like the startup. I just wanted to show you that loaded up.
Yeah.
So I'll just clutch it, port back in, bring them both up to about 650 RPM. We can have a look. They'll be half load then. So
yes, I should be. So now we're just on port engine, aren't we?
both engines are clutched in now. Just get these warmed up.
The light's still on.
Light is still on, but I can see it creeping up. There is a leak on the starboard side on the gearbox clutch in piping, so it's going to have to be topped up.
Why one tacho's reading higher than the other?
Because they're out of sync, the gauges.
Only one clutch is in, isn't it?
Both are clutched in right
Both
now.
are clutch in.
They've got the same RPM, exact same.
Yeah, one's reading more on the...
Yeah, because the gauge is out. And the starboard side is taking more load as well.
Yeah.
So that's that adjustment we can make on the...
That's a Gardner adjustment.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it's the knob on the side of the Gardner.
Yeah. All that can be adjusted when we're doing the sea trials and stuff. Yeah, it's only a 140, 220. This is 320
Yeah.
exhaust temp.
Got no load.
I'll just go up to 700 and then we'll just chill out for a bit, have a drink, and then that'll be have a little walk around and so you can see it. But all the startup is all done.
See, number 5's got nothing on it. There's a couple of slow cylinders there on this fella.
Yeah. What I might do, because we've already warmed up starboard and it's leaking out of the clutch in piping, I'm going to declutch that, just warm up port, main engine, just to get it warm.
Just before you declutch starboard, I want to go down and have a look at those pressure gauges down on the forward wall bulkhead.
Yeah, they're imbalanced. It's the forward.
Imbalances there, it's showing right up there.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. The forward one has got way more boost pressure than the other.
Yeah.
So it's irregardless. Because that's so, cool. I'll just pull these off, declutch it, stop the oil leak, and
where's your oil leak?
I can show you. It's on the starboard main engine gearbox clutch in piping.
Right.
You can stay here. I'll just declutch and isolate.
Have a look at those surge. Well, you've declutched them now.
That's alright. I'll show you a video from yesterday.
It was very good that Roscoe was talking about the difference in charge air pressure on the starboard main engine. That's an imbalance from A bank to B bank. So we thought, but each turbo is fed from each 3 cylinders on each side or end, forward and aft end, feeds each turbo, and then each turbo feeds the entire bank on each respective side. So it's kind of a way to balance it. But he ended up pulling the fuel delivery off the 3 cylinders on each side close to that forward turbo and brought the boost pressure down, which was really good. He did that the day after I left, after this video. Much thanks to him. So now the port main engine's hot, we can just bring up the revs a bit quicker than usual, load her up and get her singing.
Copy, Kerry. Yeah, this is the last test. Should be about 5-10 minutes, and then I will be declutching. Looking okay?
No, copy that. Things are looking good.
Copy.
So I'll just point out the leak where the valve is for clutching in. That's where the leak is. And also, when the shaft's spinning, you want to check the bearing temperatures and oil levels. So I'm just swiftly doing that. Also, the header tank for the inboard stern tube seal. So what Roscoe's doing here is he's having a look at this forward end turbo on the starboard main engine, which of the exhaust headers feed the turbo. What he's discovering is the 3 cylinders where my hand is, that one and the next one and the next one, and then the other 3 opposite on the other bank are what feed this forward turbo, which is really interesting because that forward turbo feeds the entirety of this bank on this main engine, and then obviously opposite for the aft end turbo. So it's pretty interesting. Good discovery. Now just inspecting the charge air cooler, making sure it's actually cooling. So that's 100 degrees air temperature down to about 48 degrees Celsius air temperature. So it's doing a really good job. That salt water is flowing through there, flowing through the brass tubes, and the air's passing across those, and that salt water and the brass tubes are taking the heat energy out of the air, and it's going overboard to swim with the fishes.
I thought they were seeing one up there 490.
451.
Yeah, 450 is the limit, I think.
Yeah. So the alarm is working, which is great. Now that exhaust gas temp is out, so perfect. Testing the system, Roscoe.
Huh?
We're testing the
Yes,
system.
we are.
It's great.
We're on the pulse.
I'll bring it down slowly.
Of course.
You want some water?
Yeah, a bit more water. Yeah,
Pulling down the RPM, and then we can continue bringing back port main engine. You're all right, mate. Back to idle.
I would have thought they would have idled a lot slower. I thought they would have been idling down at 400 marks.
I'm going to clutch him out and then we'll just idle him and then shut down and then we're done.
Yep. We know we've got a major problem on
Don't say that when I'm videoing.
starboard.
Yeah. Alright, I'll clutch out, I'll be back. Cool.
Okay.
We'll let him 5 minutes and we'll shut the...
So just here I'm about to open up the supply and discharge valves for the lube oil priming pump. Before it shuts down, switch it on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's running.
It is good to have someone in the ECR to silence the alarm, but we're shutting down so many things. If you go up and silence it and accept it, you're going to shut down another thing and the alarm will just go off again. So that's why it's ringing for so long. Hopefully it's fairly obvious, but we're pretty much doing the reverse of what we did for starting up the machinery. So just shutting off the air compressor, shutting off the overhead valve towards the bottles, and then also shutting off the bottle intake and outlet.
Yes, please.
Roscoe's shutting the C suctions, and then I'm shutting the main air supply valve. Yeah, if you haven't already gathered, yeah, you do a lot of steps, you do a lot of trips up and down the different staircases and things like that, but that's just a part of the job, I guess. So just heading back into the generator room, I'm going to shut off the booster pumps. We don't need those running. And then I'm going to go to the switchboard and fire off the breaker. So open the breaker from the generator 1 to switchboard, and then we can close the shore supply. Only once the main generator is off the board can we close the shore supply.
You wanna
I gotta go and switch off the boost pump for the fuel.
yeah, I've done that. Sorry, I ran around and did most stuff. I wanna get out of here soon. I can shut down this generator. You know how to do that.
I can do that.
Yeah. You know how to do that.
I do. I'm going to shut it down.
Okay, you can. I was going to say you can head up over smoke.
So Roscoe's going to shut down, and that's me flicking the shutdown monitoring system off, and that instantly triggers an alarm. So he's shutting that down. I'm going to go silence this alarm, and that's pretty much it. So the whole startup and shutdown procedure, plus a few extra things to learn about, and a few little leaks and stuff here and there, but productive nonetheless.
There we go. All tested. Control air, shut off. And drain. That's just to get the control air alarm to go off.
Oh,
Because
right.
it goes off 10 minutes after you shut down. Because I shut the valve there.
That air compressor shut down.
I've left it on, but all outlet valves are shut off. Yeah, I like to leave it powered on,
Yeah.
just because,
They want to use it on deck.
yeah, and like they know to open just the work air one, not the control air, so it shouldn't cycle.
Bloody.
There you go.
Doesn't take long to switch it all down.
No, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll video it next time. It's just like
Who was that? What one was that?
start air pressure low. Cool.
Oh.
Well, done and dusted, mate.
Yes.
Full startup procedure, which I've got to rewrite with different changes.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, done well. You want some weirdo drink?
Look, just a
Yeah.
good mouth. Nope. That's funny. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that vent fan's going, I think.
Huh?
Hear that fan going. The trunk fan is still going, I think.
Trunk fan, that's in the top. Where's the control?
For, yeah, the top of the header tank for Jenny room.
Yeah. That's the third switch.
Yeah, on the left, yeah.
I'll go and I'll knock it out when I go up.
Thanks again for joining us on this video. Hopefully you've learned a few things and it's been a tad bit enlightening. If you know anyone who would like to volunteer on this ship in any capacity, please get them to go to shipforgood.com.au and get in touch with Kerry. I've had a few people off YouTube comment and ask to join, and that's really helpful and we're really thankful for that. So in the next video I'll be going back on board and then fixing a few of the minor issues in the engine room, but we're getting fairly close to going on a sea trial. There's a few other safety systems we're going to get it back online for that to happen, but the future looks very bright. I'm really thankful to be a part of this, and thanks to Roscoe and all the other people who've been doing work on the ship. If you haven't already, please like, share and subscribe. Share this with any friends you think might find this interesting. And all the best. Have a good one, mate. Catch ya.